And we are back. Welcome, one and all, to the show that never ends. It is the Captain Con Extravaganza. It is the kickoff to the American competitive meta, and as such, we are going to look at the Captain Con events that went down over this past weekend in beautiful Warwick, Rhode Island, and talk all about what transpired. The good, the bad, the Kishtarian. And we won't bury the lead. Congratulations to Blake, who took down the event, winning on top table over JVM in a game of Kishtar versus Lilith. Shadowflame Shard into Sea Raiders, and Sea Raiders coming out on top in a fairly anticlimactic battle. You can catch that on the Musing Pandas stream. They were streaming pretty much all of the weekend. They streamed the team tournament and they streamed the IG Masters finals. So you got to see the finals bracket go all the way through to conclusion. With some really great games. The IG itself, i.e., what you had to play in order to qualify for Masters outside of the team tournament, was on Friday, and that unfortunately was not streamed, but was very, very interesting. The way that was set up, that was 61 players, I believe, and it was set into 4 pods. And then the top 3 from each pod were cut over and brought to the Masters finals, along with the top a certain amount of the team tournament. We'll get into that in a minute. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. So, beauty of live podcasting, folks. Beauty of live podcasting. All right, so let's jump into the events here. We're going to work our way backwards. So we're going to start at the end. As you can see here on our screeno, we have the wonderful event that we went through. I say we, I was not there. I had an event yesterday. That did not go well for me. I was 1 and 2. It was a great learning experience. My over the board is just not in a great spot right now. I've not been getting enough time on the table with actual physical miniatures. Plenty of war table games, but not nearly enough with the physical miniatures. So I was very slow, very sloppy, and not my best day. But beyond that, let's get into our top. So the 16 players qualifying for the Masters were Blake Hopper, who ended up winning it all with Sea Raiders, Cody DeMunn with Infernals, Dan Riker, now with Wintercore, JVM with Shadowflame Shard, Andy Cash running Old Umbry, Brandon Owens on Gravediggers, Brad the Iron Lip himself on Thornfall Alliance, Brian Bedell with Gravediggers, Philip M. from Buffalo with Shadowflame Shard, Steve Rabideau, the lone Storm Legion player represented in the top 16, Derek Senstrom, also with Shadowflame Shard, Rich Owens with Sea Raiders, Scott Bentzig with Old Embry, Stephen King with Gravediggers, Balthazar from Long Island with Sea Raiders, and Michael Gabrioni with Sea Raiders as well. So Sea Raiders, very, very popular. Let's go to our actual meta breakdown for the event. 4 players with Sea Raiders qualified in, 3 with Shadowflame Shard, 3 with Gravediggers, 2 with Old Umbry, 1 with Winter Core, 1 with Thornfall Alliance, 1 with Infernals, and 1 with Storm Legion. Your top players, 7 had a rating between 600 and 700, 6 had a rating between 500 and 600, 2 with a rating between 400 and 500, and 1 player had a rating between 100 and 200. Jumping in, and pretty good eclectic mix, mostly the Northeast. However, did have a Californian, did have a Louisianan in the mix for your finals. So truly eclectic. All right, on to our advanced statistics, as is our way on the show. Winter Core had a 75% win rate at the finals. They went 3-1. They took Borashek and Yana. Yana was 1-1 on the day, and Borashek was 2-0. For Infernals, also 3-1, also 75% win rate. Unsurprisingly, Zadaroth 3-0, Agathon 0-1. Old Umbry. Old Umbry was on Yana, and they were on Morozov. Yana with a 2 games played and 100% win rate, and Morozov 3 games played, 1 and 2, 33% win rate. Thornfall Alliance 2-2. Sturm and Drang, where telekinesis is a hell of a drug, along with a feat that says your battle group doesn't do anything this turn. Because they can't be allocated to, they can't force, they can't, can't get essence. It's a very strong feat. Sea Raiders, we're a 44% win rate. Fair and balanced, won the entire event, but fair and balanced, 44% win rate. Abrith was 2-0 on the day, 100% win rate. Kishtar had 4 games played, most played caster on the day, 2-2, 50% win rate. Butcher 3-0, Butcher 3 games played, 0-3. Butcher did not win a game in the finals. Onward to Shadowflame Shard, also your top table finalist. 9 games played, 4-5 on the day, 44% win rate. Lilith was 3-1 for a 75% win rate. Nixian, 3 games played, 1-2, 33% win rate. Alex got a try, and he was 0-1. And Erasic also got a try, and he was also 0-1. Gravediggers, 38% win rate, 8 games played, 3 up, 5 down. Kane with 7 of those games. Kane was 3-4 on the day for a 43% win rate. And good old Uncle Buck Hasker, 0-1. And then Storm Legion, 33% win rate on the day. 1 up, 2 down. Kane was 1-1, 50% win rate in Storm Legion, and Calder was 0-1. Your scenarios on the day were Fault Lines, High Stakes, Trench Warfare, and Wolfsdart Hills. High Stakes was the first round of the day, having the most games played with 8. Assassination was very high on the list of win conditions. 9 assassinations, 13 scenario, 1 death clock victory. So scenario still dominant. However, assassination very much on the menu currently. The attacker had a 57% win rate in a packet that is very, very tuned to second player. We saw a 57% win rate for the attacker, i.e. player 1, in the packet. So that is a fun little data point in this small set of games. It's a fun little data point. However, looking at the scenarios played, these scenarios, I think, have less of an overt bias to second player. They are still biased to second player, Wolves especially. But trench warfare is fairly neutral. High stakes is relatively balanced in terms of board positioning. Fault lines also relatively balanced between player 1 and player 2. There are some ability for player 2 to gain a really strong attritional advantage in fault lines, but that one does feel like more of a back and forth. Wolves, if you can interrupt the scoring as second player on the first player, you are in a dominant position for you to be able to score that bonus. But very interesting that defender only won 43% of the time in the games present. So that is a neat little data point that we will carry forward and see how that pans out the rest of the way. All right, so that it was your Iron Gauntlet finals. Definitely check out Musing Panda to watch the streams. Really great commentary all weekend from them. A whole group came in from different spots. Dan Jones was on the coverage as well. Alex Cosma doing Alex Cosma things. It was outstanding to listen to the commentary, see how everything progressed, and just really enjoyed listening to the crew talk through the games, which was awesome. All right, so we will now jump to the team tournament for Captain Con. As we pull it up here. So the net, it's the New England Team Tournament, which is a 3-player team tournament that happens every year at Captain Con. They had 22 teams for the net. Net ended up going 5 rounds to get to a singular undefeated. And then in second place was Slappy BBJ, which was Blake, Brad Park, and Jake Van Meter. Chris Steve's His Best, which was Steve King, Steve Rabideau, and honorary Steve, Chris Gunther. That was followed up by Dumpster Fire, which was Andy Cash, Philip M., and Donald Human. There was Rick's Betrayal, which was Andy Bev, Sam Gallagher, and Ryan Johnson. There was D's Nutmeggers, Cody Hanks, Ekabeb, and Dan Berger. Dirty Mike has hit rock bottom. It's time for a change. It was Rick Coe, Mike Gabarini, and Master Ball. Luminous Mini Resin Pig was Gatorman Pete, Dan Raven, and Rose Love. In ninth was Murder of Burbs, David Pomerantz, Eric Zegler, and Amber Pomerantz. Supple Thruple, Brian Bedell, Tommy Pajamas, and Corey Boudreau. And then in 11th place was Thugs for Less, Anthony Minerva, David Lee, and Glenn C. Rounded out your top 11 at the event. So let's talk about some of the team compositions. Taking first was a composition of Winter Core, Gravediggers, and Infernals. In second composition was Sea Raiders, Thornfall Alliance, and Shadowflame Shard. Then we had a composition in third of Gravediggers, Necrofactorium, and Storm Legion. Followed that up with Old Umbry, Shadowflame Shard, and Sea Raiders. That was followed up with Brinebloods, Gravediggers, and Necrofactorium. Then it was Old Umbry, Dark Operations, and Dusk, House Callus. Then it was Winter Core again and double Sea Raiders in the composition. That was followed up by another Thornfall Alliance, Old Umbry, and Final Interdiction Menoth. Then Murder of Burbs was Scorn, Army of the Western Reaches, Dusk House Callus, and Trolls, Storm of the North. Supple Thruple was Gravediggers, Sea Raiders, and Necrofactorium. And then Thugs for Less to round us out with Shadowflame Shard, Winter Core, and Crucible Guard. 22 teams in all at the event. Of 3, so 66 players total. Your entire field was very red. So Winter Core had the most players at 10 across the entirety of the event. You had 9 players on Old Umbry. You had 8 players on Shadowflame Shard, 7 players on Sea Raiders, 7 more players on Necrofactorium, 6 players on Gravediggers, 4 players on Dusk, 2 on Stormfall Alliance, 2 on Infernals, 2 on Crucible Guard, 1 on Storm of the North, 1 on Armory of the Western Reaches, 1 on Brinebloods, 1 on Storm Legion, 1 on Menoth Final Interdiction, 1 on Legion of Dawn Retribution, 1 on Dark Operations, 1 on Dark Host Crix, and 1 on Grymkin. Player-wise, a little bit different player mix in this one. We had 7 players between 600 and 700. We had 17 players between 500 and 600. The bulk of the players between 400 and 523 players represented there. 5 players between 300 and 400. 4 players between 200 and 300. 8 players totally unranked, and 2 players between 100 and 200. Jumping into our ever important win rates. Final Interdiction was a 5-0. They won all of the games that they played. So congratulations to Final Interdiction. It'd be exciting to see Menoth nerfed in 2027. Brinebloods also 5-0. Congratulations, Andy Bev, for having a phenomenal team tournament individual effort. There, Dark Host 75% win rate, 3-1. Storm Legion 3-2. Army of the Western Reaches 3-2. Shadowflame Shard 32 games played, 19 up, 13 down, 59% win rate. We'll actually jump in and see what casters are being played here. We'll also take a look at Brinebloods Marauders. Marauders had 2 games with Thorga and 3 games with Firequill, 100% win rate with both. Storm Legion, just for completeness. Kane was played all 5 games. Kane was 3 up, 2 down. 60% win rate for Kane. On Shard Island, Shadowflame Shard, we were all over the place. I think every caster had at least 1 game played, and that's how it looks here. Valix was definitely the people's champion with 16 games played, 8 up, 8 down, 50% win rate. Iris, 2 games played, 1 up, 1 down, 50% win rate. Nixian, 7 games played, 4 up, 3 down, 57% win rate. Lilith, 5 games played, 5 wins, 5-0, 100% win rate. Rassic, 1-0, 1 game played, 100% win rate. And then Kyrax, 1 game played. He was the only sad panda with a 0% win rate on the day. Onward to oldest of Umbreys, 32 games played, 18 up, 14 down, 56% win rate. You will note a distinct lack of Aslanov in the statistics here because he was not played. Kova, 3 games played, 3-0, 100% win rate. Yana, 15 games played, most played caster, 10-5, 67% win rate. 4 games played, 2-2, 50% win rate. Good old Galena, 6 games played, 3-3, 50% win rate. And Bodani, good old Lesnoy, 0-4, 0%, win rate. Insight not getting it done in the team tournament. Infernals, 9 total games, 5 up, 4 down, 56% win rate. Agathon was 2-1 on the day. Almadamos was 2-2 on the day, and Zadaroff was 1-1 on the day. Gravediggers, 27 games played, 14 up, 13 down, 52% win rate. Uncle Buck Hasker was 4-1 on the day, 80% win rate. Represents your best win rate in Gravediggers in the event. But Kane was the people's champion, 19 games played, most games played for Gravediggers, 9 up, 10 down, 47% win rate. McCoy, 3 games played, 1 up, 2 down, 33% win rate. Duskhouse Callus, 16 games played total, 8-8, 50% win rate. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. Speaking of perfectly balanced, let's talk about Cyrafel for a moment. Cyrafel had 4 games played, 3 up, 1 down, 75% win rate. Tyrus, 3 games played, 2 up, 1 down, 67% win rate. Moraine, 2 games played, 1-1, 50% win rate. And Helith, most games played for House Callus, 7 games played, 2 up, 5 down, 29% win rate. I think folks have caught on how to play into Helith. And I think there are some armies in the meta that are actively detrimental to her health. So we can talk about where Helith is at in some future considerations. But interesting data here. Torium, 28 games played, 13 up, 15 down, 46% win rate. Sepsira, your leader in the clubhouse, 15 games played, 10 up, 5 down, 67% win rate. Sepsira is very good right now. It is probably the best caster in Necrofactorium. She got the most tools, retained the most of her general essence, and came out of the update with the best hit fixing in the faction, along with retained power. So I think Sepsira is definitely making a lot of pairs as we move forward. Decathus, 5 games played, 2 up, 3 down, 40% win rate. Pretty interesting. Nick Kane, who I know SFG was pretty high on, at least from their AMA. 5 games played, 1 up, 4 down, 20% win rate. Not a great weekend for Nick Kane in the team tournament. Speaking of not a great weekend, Ethos. Darling of the meta last year, Terror. 3 games played, 0 for 3, 0% win rate. Interesting. Inner Core, arguably the biggest glow up in the January update. 45% win rate in the team tournament. 40 games played, one of the most taken factions, but a 40% win rate, 17 up, 21 down, 2 ties. Let's get into it. Savrin, 3 games played, 2 up, 1 down, 67% win rate, highest win rate in the faction. Wojciech, most games played, 8 up, 5 down, 62% win rate. Boris is in a very good spot. There's a lot to like about Boris right now in this metagame. Guns are really good. And if you have guns, using them is very much recommended. Velcool, 8 games played, 3 up, 4 down, 1 tie, 44% win rate. Sakura, 10 games played, 3 up, 6 down, 1 tie, 35% win rate. Baronova, arguably one of the strongest casters in the entire meta. Did not show it in the team tournament. 1 up, 4 down, 20% win rate. What is going on with Baronova? What is happening? Because that is not a result that I would have called prior to the event whatsoever. But the Baronova on the weekend, as we'll see, not in the best spot. And I don't. It's not computing for me as to why. I have some theories, and we'll get into it, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the individual flights and some of the nuance in the list and some nuance to Baronova, because she is not the easiest caster to play. I will say that. It looks very easy, but it is very easy to have her just randomly die, even with the larger control range, which I still think is a problem. But, obviously, folks are designing for her, as they should. And then Yana in Winter Core, 0-1, 0% win rate, but only 1 game played. Onward to Sea Raiders, fair and balanced, 44% win rate, 32 games played, 14 up, 18 down. Sure, 6 games played, 3 up, 3 down, 50% win rate. Sabrith, 8 and 8. Or sorry, Sabrith, 8 games played, 4 up, 4 down, 50% win rate. Kishtar, 13 games played, 6 up, 7 down, 46% win rate. Good old Harusk, 5 games played, 1 and 4, 20% win rate. Put him in the dumpster. Speaking of dumpster, Oriax did not play. Oriax not on the sheets. Sorry, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You are bad, and you should feel bad. So that is where your Sea Raiders are at. 44% win rate in the team tournament. Thornfall Alliance, 40% win rate on the day. 10 games played, 4 up, 6 down. Good old Sturm and Drang, nothing beats Drang. 8 games played, 4 up, 4 down, 50% win rate. Carver, 1 game played, 0 for 1. And Arcadius, also 1 game played, also did not win. All right, and then in our remaining ones, we have Dark Ops with a 25% win rate, Crucible Guard with a 22% win rate. We'll talk through the casters here in Crucible Guard. We had Lucas with 1 game played, 100% win rate. Earhart, 7 games played, 1 and 6, 14% win rate. And good old McKay, 1 game played, 0 for 1, 0% win rate. Storm of the North, 5 games played, 1 up, 4 down. And Grimmykin, 3 games played on the day, 0 for 3. All right. My favorite stat here is there was one game where Pressure Point, apparently it was attempted to be played, and we got nothing. It was not a play. It looks like there was a concession or something to that effect that somebody mismarked. And I'm excited that that happened. So let's talk about the fun data here. The attacker, 49% win rate in the 136 games in the team tournament. The defender, 51% win rate. So here is more what I've been expecting to see. Now that we have a sample size that's a little larger. So we got up to 136 games at this individual event, which is the team tournament. In the larger sample size, you see a slight, 2% within a standard deviation favoring of the defender. This is what I would expect based on how this packet is built. I would expect this between 51 and 54% as we go forward. And I would say that that is probably the success rate that SFG was hoping for with the packet. What is going to be more concerning is if we see the attacker win rate drop below 45% at a sustained level. I could make an argument if it drops below 47, but I will keep it within 2 standard deviations. Here, this is essentially a coin flip. I mean, this is legitimately a coin flip. And if you've done this, and this is the result that we're going to see at large scale, and we'll see if it holds. Again, we'll see if it holds. Then, yeah, it does take this much for the defender to overcome first mover advantage in the game, which is not going to feel right to people. Never felt right to me. But sometimes you have to have some very strong mechanic and biases to overcome that first mover bit. And it just kind of shows you how powerful that first move is or can be. Again, some interesting data in the scenario tree. Scenario was much more represented here. 70% win rate, or 70 wins for scenario out of the 136 games. 46 games decided by assassination. 18 games went to death clock. Excellent, excellent job. All right. We have our general distributions. Again, the priority here is super interesting, and I am very interested to see if that holds and how that holds up over the course of time. But our top three, or our top team was, again, Dan Riker, Brandon Owens, and Corey DeMunn. On the winter core side of things for Dan Riker, was playing Tatiana paired up with Borishek. Let's talk about the Borishek list. Boris was playing a Direwolf Shield Guard head, cannon, and Flame Fist. A Great Bear with the aggressive head, a heavy cannon, and the Blasting Fist. A Mastodon with the fire support head, double deep freeze cannons, Great Axe, and Dozer Fist. Played a battle mechanic, played Kruger, played Velkova, played a Winter Corps officer, unit of Arcanists, a unit of Shock Trooper Gunners, the Hounds, 2 units of snipers with hunting dogs. Blessing the Gods, Duck and Cover, Hit and Run, Lucky Penny, and Sapper. And then for those interested in the Sakura list, he was running a Direwolf, Shield Guard, Head, Long Axe, and Plow Shield, Great Bear, aggressive head, heavy shield, heavy cannon shield, Razor, Alexia, Queen of the Damned, unit of battle mechanics, Colden Lord, Damien Kravnik, double controller, Sergei Kroll, a Winter Corps officer, an Arcanist, a unit of Man-O-War suppressors, a unit of Man-O-War wrecking crew, and the Hounds. Blessing the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Lucky Penny, Old Faithful, and Put the Fires Out for the Sakura list. Brandon Owens on Gravediggers. Brandon's pairing was Alistair Kane and return to a classic, Major Grant Vargas. Yep, Kane's running Deuce, a Valiant with Evasive Head, Heavy Barrel, and Slugfist, a Sky Raider, Carver Ultimus, Warbor MMD 47, Eilish Garrity, the Dark Trader, Gregor Boomhowler, a double machine gun crew, a unit of gun mages, a unit of Rangers, the Black 13th, and the Rowdies. Blessing the Gods, Duck and Cover, Hit and Run, Double Light Airdrop, Lucky Penny, Military Engineering, and Put the Fires Out. And then on Grant Vargas, Vargas was running Beaker, was running Plugger, running a Valiant with Evasive Head, Heavy Barrel, and Slugfist, running a second Valiant, also with Evasive, Heavy Barrel, and Slugfist, running a single heavy field gun, a single assault Strider, three heavy machine gun crew, two units of Gravedigger gun mages, and a unit of Gravedigger Rangers. Blessing of the Gods, one heavy airdrop, hit and run, double light airdrop, Lucky Penny, Military Engineering, and Old Faithful. And then rounding out the team was Cody DeMunn, rather, with a pairing of Agathon and Zadaroth. The Zadaroth list has changed slightly from previous builds, so let's run through that one. We have a Forebodar with a Tormentor. We have Eilish Garrity, the Dark Seeker. We have Great Princess Regina with a Forebodar. We have the Hermit. We have Rosette Devoris. We have Linda the Forgotten. We have Magnus and Invictus. The Wretch, an Umbral Guardian, Valen Hawk, Cultist Band with Preceptor Orin Midwinter, second Cultist Band, a unit of Dark Sentinels, a unit of Grievers, Swarm, and a unit of Howlers. Blessing the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Duck and Cover, Hit and Run, and Old Faithful. In the Agathon list, we see Double Forebodar, Guardian of Souls, Alan Runewood, Lord of Ash, Eilish Garrity, the Dark Seeker, Great Princess Regina Gavnoy with a Forebodar, Hermit of Henchhold, Lord Rosette DeVos, Linda the Forgotten, the Wretch, an Umbral Guardian, Valen Hawk, Cultist Band with Orin Midwinter, another Cultist Band, Dark Sentinels, unit of Griever Swarm, and a unit of Howlers. Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Lucky Penny, and Sapper. There, that is your top team in the team tournament. All right, let us return and get into these flights. All right, flight number 1. Let's talk about the sharkiest shark tank to ever shark. This was quite the tank to get through. This tank featured Brandon Owens, Cody DeMunn, Brad the Iron Lip Park, Dan Riker, Jake Van Meter, Elliott, Ryan McCoffin, Rick Coe, John Turner, Tyrant Scourge, Kovnik Ninebeaker, Robert Wolf, Jesse Harchek, and Sierra Wolf. This was let's count them, folks. Let's go through it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the 14 players here, 6 of the 14 players here have multiple WTC appearances and podium finishes as part of the team. We have Ryan McCoffin in here, who is an incredibly strong player and very much in the conversation for this year's WTC. Really strong player. You've got Elliott, who has been around for a very long time over the course of multiple editions. Incredibly strong player. Also, John Turner. Same kind of deal. This is a pod that was a gauntlet to get through with some incredible plays throughout. Brandon Owen, Cody Munn, and Brad Park were your top 3, escaping the bracket and qualifying for Masters based on the rules of the tournament. So let's talk about some of the lists here because I find it fascinating, and I find the data here very important to go through. So let's go first to our ever important, what's the breakdown? We had 4 players on Winter Core in this pod. We had 3 players on Shadowflame Shard. We had 2 players on Infernals, 2 players on Thornfall Alliance, 2 players on Gravediggers, and 1 player on Duskhouse Callus. Duskhouse Callus woefully underplayed to me this entire Captain Con. As you can see from the bracket, under Shark Tank, 5 players between 600 and 700, 4 players between 500 and 600, 3 players between 400 and 500, and 2 players who were just playing their first real big events. Congrats to them for sticking with it, being in the hardest pod at the premier event for the start of the year. So awesome job. Awesome job there. Let us jump back and talk into these lists a little bit. You can tell I'm doing this very late at night, so I apologize. All right. Brandon Owens had a pairing with his Gravediggers, again, of Alistair Kane and Boom Boom McCoy. In the Kane list, again, we had Deuce, we had a Valiant with a Evasive, a Heavy Barrel, and a Slugfist, a Sky Raider, Carver Ultimus, Warbor MMD 47, Eilish Garrity, the Dark Trader, Gregor Boomhowler, Double Heavy Machine Gun Crew, a unit of Gun Mages, a unit of Rangers, the Black 13th, and the Rowdies. Blessing of the Gods, Duck and Cover, Hit and Run, Double Light Airdrop, Lucky Penny, Military Engineering, and Put the Fires Out. And then in the Boom Boom list, we had Boom Boom McCoy. We had a Patriot with an Arc Node, a Pole Cleaver, and a Trace Cannon. A single heavy field gun, a single Strider, or single Assault Strider. Captain Argo Brock, 4 heavy machine gun crew. Magnus, the Unstoppable and Invictus. We had triple Gravedigger Rangers and the Rowdies. Blessing of the Gods, double heavy airdrop, double light airdrop, Lucky Penny, Old Faithful, and Put the Fires Out. On the day, Brandon just played Kane. And Brandon was 4-0 with Kane. Cody DeMunn 3-1 on a pairing of Agathon and Zadaroth. Again, same setup as his team tournament lists for Zadaroth and Agathon. That we had just discussed. All right, onward to Brad Park. Brad went 3-1 with Thornfall Alliance. On the day, he took a pairing of Carver Ultimus and Sturm und Drang. Three games played were Sturm und Drang. One game, he played Carver Ultimus. That was into Cody DeMunn, and that was his sole loss on the day. Going through the list here, Carver Ultimus had a Battle Boar, a Gun Boar, Latursus, a War Boar MMD 47, a Warhog, a Feral Razorback, double Feral Sapper, Maximus, Targ, a unit of Feral Bone Grinders, a unit of Brigands, a unit of Feral Commanders, a single unit of Slaughterhousers, and a unit of Feral Valkyries. Blessing the Gods, Duck and Cover, Hit and Run, Lucky Penny, Put the Fires Out. In the Sturm und Drang list, we had Battle Boar, Gun Boar, Tursus, Warhog, Feral Razorback, Magnus the Unstoppable, and Invictus. We had Targ, we have the Wastelander, we have a unit of Feral Bone Grinders, a unit of Commandos, 2 units of Slaughterhousers, and a unit of Feral Valkyries. Blessing the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Duck and Cover, Lucky Penny, and Put the Fires Out. In fourth place, we had Daniel Riker on Winter Core. His Winter Core pairing here slightly different than his Winter Core pairing in the team tournament. He had Baronova and Sakura in the individual tournament. Blood and Thunder was the Baronova list. Baronova list had double Direwolf, each with Shield Guard head, long axe, and heavy chain gun. Mastodon with fire support head, double heavy cannon, a chain fist and a dozer fist, a Sky Raider, a battle mechanic, Velkova, double Winter Corps officer, a unit of Arcanist, a unit of Shock Trooper gunners, the Hounds, and Winter Corps sniper with Hunting Dog, Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Duck and Cover, Lucky Penny, and Sapper. And then Sakura, with the aptly named Good Old Rock, always wins, which we'll see in a moment, was absolutely true for Riker again. Direwolf with a Shield Guard head, long axe and plow shield, Great Bear with aggressive head, battle mace, heavy cannon shield, Razor double battle mechanic, Lord Damian Kravnik double controller, Sergeant Siege Kroll, or Sergei Kroll, a Winter Corps officer, a unit of Alchemist, double suppressor, Man of War Wrecking Crew, Blessing the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Lucky Penny, Old Faithful, and Put the Fires Out. A little bit of a change in his Sakura list from day 1 to day 2 as well. So that's interesting to watch as the list kind of evolves as different things come in and out. It's kind of the fun part this time of year. You're going to see Lists iterate pretty rapidly as people get data points in that they just didn't have previously because they don't have the games yet. But as those games start to come in, you get the little bit of experience, you get some tweaks, you get an understanding of where the meta's at, what works for you as a player. Sometimes when it's on paper, it doesn't quite work as well as it does in reality. And then the last of our 3-in-1s, Jake Van Meter with Shadowflame Shard. He was running a pairing of Lilith and Valex. In the Lilith list, we had Lilith, we have Aklis, we have Hydrix with Diviner Head, Double Venom Spitter, and Spineback, a Wyvern, Belagul, the Master of Pain, Pythia, a Shadowmancer Scion, an Incarnate Knight unit, 2 units of Quickfang Stalkers with Quickfang Masters, a unit of Shades, or the Shades rather, and a unit of Wormspine Shadowmancers. Blessing the Gods, Hit and Run, Lucky Penny, Put the Fires Out, and Sapper. In the Valix list, we have Valix, we have Aklis, we have a Vipex with an Asp Head, Hunter's Mark, and Impalers. We have another Vipex with Viper Head, Bladed Gale, and Impalers. We have a Wyvern. We have Belagul, the Master of Pain. We have a Wraithwing Paragon. We have Incarnate Knights. We have 2 units of Quickfang Wind Strikers, a unit of Talon Lashers, and Wormspine Shadowmancers. Blessing the Gods, defenses, Hit and Run, Lucky Penny, Put the Fires Out. So some pretty interesting lists here from Jake. The Valix list, super fun. The Impalers for the crit paralyze. The Wyvern for the crit knockdown. Again, crit knockdown on the Knights, crit Shadowbind on the Quickfang Strikers, along with now puncture damage D3. Makes those a really fun unit with Valix. Basically say that your feat goes to anything the Wind Strikers hit is now Shadowbound, which is not a bad feat. Along with a unit of Lashers to go ahead and say, 6 more things are knocked down. So a lot of incidental hit fixing in the list. Valix himself has a personal threat of 17. Aklis is a super cute inclusion because of the ability to shift damage with Master of Ruin, as well as just have the very valuable Cloud and a fairly decent gun in Aklis. So like that a lot. Aklis also has a couple of really fun crits. The Lilith list has some real good tech. The 2 Quickfang Masters bring a lot to the table between either upping your damage with dust or with rust, providing blind to aid with hit fixing, or just control. In the list, the Stalkers themselves and the Quickfang Masters also give you an ambush element, which is very valuable. Same thing with the Wind Strikers; those can also be ambushed. Ambushing, really, really strong in this packet. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I will say it continually. It's real good. The Diviner Head Hydrix does a lot of things for you in the list, particularly the ability to hand out Future Sight with the Animus. Very, very important for Lilith. Just aids her in being able to manage her fury a bit more efficiently. Also with the double venom spitter, you get a little more solid gun with a little more range to go ahead and trigger run and gun when it is worthwhile. Additionally, I do think blast weapons are going to be a little more of a premium. Again, because Windstorm is no longer ubiquitous. They can't see that you have guns and rack it anymore. They have to drop a specific caster that may have it. and the windstorm range is just very small now. So you've got to be very dedicated in where those answers go. Is kind of the notion there. So good stuff there. Onward to pod number 2. Pod 2 is a little bit smaller pod. It was 11 players on the day. We have a breakdown here. Player-wise, 4 players were Orgoth, 3 players were Shadowflame Shard, 2 players were Wintercore, 1 player, 1 lone man against the dark played Brine Bloods, and 1 lone player played Necrofectorium. Pod mix out here, 4 players between 500 and 600, 3 players between 400 and 500, 3 players between 300 and 400. 1 player was unranked at the time. Our win rates in the pod, 75% win rate for Brines, 55% win rate for Shard, 50% win rate for Sea Raiders, 33% win rate for Necrofactorium, and 33% win rate for Wintercore. Interesting anecdote in this pod, 53% of the time, the attacker won every time. So player 1 bucking the trend with a higher than normal, higher than expected win rate in the first position for the attacker. Still getting used to saying that. All right. Derek Senstrom came out of this one along with Michael Gabarini and Balthazar. Michael Gabarini and Balthazar both on Sea Raiders, and Derek Sandstrom was on Shadowflame Shard. Shard going 4-0. Mike and Balthazar both going 3-1. Derek on a pairing of also Valix and Lilith. Valix list a little bit different here, so let's get into it. The Valix list here was Aklis, a Hydrix with Diviner Head, Horn Piercer, and double Blockhead. Sorry, a Diviner Head, Horn Piercer, and Blockhead with a Blade back, which gives you Overtake. Again, second Hydrix, Diviner Head, Horn Piercer, Blockhead, and Blade back. These things are under Valix. They are what I affectionately refer to as colossal removal units. The Horn Piercer auto pierce is utterly ridiculous, and it will just remove a Mastodon from the table. It is incredibly powerful. 10 out of 10 would recommend. You can do some really funny stuff with it. We've got a Vipex with an Asped, Hunter's Mark, and Cleavers. We've got Belagul. We've got Pythia. We have a Riven. We have a Wraithwing Paragon. We have an Incarnate Knights. We have a unit of Quickfang Windstrikers, a unit of Death Dealers, and a unit of Talon Lashers, along with a unit of Wormspine Shadowmancers. Blessing the Gods defenses, Duck and Cover, Lucky Penny, Put the Fires Out. Defenses were Triple Barrier. And then on the Lilith list, also Triple Barrier defenses. We have Lilith. We have 2 Hydrixes, each alike in dignity, both with Diviner Head, double Flame Sprayer on both, and Spineback for Swift Hunter. Vipex with Asped, Hunter's Mark, and Cleavers, double Wyvern, just flat out double Wyvern on top of the double Diviner. Hydrixes, Belagul, Master of Pain, a unit of Incarnate Knights, a unit of Talon Lashers, and 2 unit of Wormspine Shadowmancers to help manage all of the fury you're going to be throwing around every turn as you're boosting so many fire sprays. Blessing the Gods defense is duck and cover Lucky Penny and put the fires out, and again, triple barrier for the defenses on this one. As the day worked out for Derek played Lilith and then triple Valix. So all of his casters utilized for Mike Gabarini. Mike was playing a pairing of Sabreth and Kishtar. And then Balthazar was playing a pairing of Ursus and Kishtar. Notable mention, our other 3 and 1 in this bracket was Andy Bev. Andy Bev, 3 and 1 on the day. He was playing a pairing of Thorga Boomhowler and Captain Firequill. Firequill had himself a day. Firequill was played in 3 of the rounds, going 2 and 1. His only loss in round 3 to the eventual winner, which was Derek Sandstrom on Scenario and Trench Warfare, which is a scenario that Boomhowler does not, which is a scenario that Firequill does not love because it actively interferes with his guns. And then did play Thorga in round 4 and beat Kevin Strong's Valix on Pressure Point. Unsurprisingly going second. I don't like that scenario. We're going to leave it there. We'll talk about it another show. All right. Onward to flight number 3. 14-player flight here in Flight 3. Pretty strong pod overall. Again, all of these pods were fairly well strengthened. This pod, because it was a little bit larger, also had a very high concentration of 500 and 600 rated players, 500 to 600 players, and 7 400 to 500 ranked players. 1 player between 300 and 400, and 1 player between 200 and 300. From a breakdown, this was your OU pod. This was also the pod that had sort of the most eclectic mix of additional items. So our big winner in the pod was OU in terms of players. 3 players for OU in this pod, 2 players for Gravediggers, 2 players for Duskhouse Callus, 1 for Shadowflame Shard, 1 for Sea Raiders, Orgoth Sea Raiders, 1 for Cryx Necrofectorium, 1 for Storm Legion, 1 for Grimkin, 1 for Dark Operations, and 1 for Wintercore. Jump in, take a peek at our overall statistics. The Defender overwhelming in this pod. This is the nightmare fuel that we like to see, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that because the Defender had a 72% win rate, and the Attacker had a 26% win rate. And that is what we call a problem. This is the type of data you don't want to see. Now, again, this is a very small sample size, 25 games. Variance can happen, and depending on how the game goes through, you can get some very awkward and odd results. But let's talk about the win conditions here. Out of the 26 games played, 11 were decided by scenario. 9 were decided by assassination. So nearly, basically within a standard deviation of each other between assassination and scenario. 3 were decided on death clock and 3 were by concession. So yeah, that's a super interesting data point to me, is this pod had the defender overwhelmingly favored. We have not seen that in the data elsewhere yet, but this is one of those outlier bits that I want to keep watching. Again, it's a single data point, but let's talk about how this pod is constructed. It's 14 players. The relative strength of all of the players is fairly tight, at least if we utilize ranking as a measure of how invested the player is. These are highly invested players. These are players in the ecosystem of the tournament. They're invested in that tournament system, in the Longshanks ecosystem, and they had a result where the defender won 3 out of 4 games. Just food for thought. And we had scenario and assassination being nearly equivalent in terms of their impact on the win, in terms of how folks got their win. Very interesting. Storm Legion was your overall winner of the pod. They had a 100% win rate. Sea Raiders had a very good time, 75% win rate. Same thing with Necrofactorium, 75% win rate. Gravediggers, 63% win rate in this pod. Shadowflame Shard, 50% win rate, 2 and 2 on the day. Old Umbry, 50% win rate, 6 up, 6 down for the 3 players. They were all on some combination of Yana and Galena, and Yana went 4 and 2, 67% win rate, and Galena was 2 and 4, 33% win rate. Winter Core was on Sakura Baronova. Sakura 1 and 0, and Baronova 0 and 2. Duskhouse Callus, 7 games played, 1 up, 6 down. Tyrus, Seraphel, and Heleth. Tyrus with the most games played, which was 4. He was 1 and 3 on the day, 25% win rate. Seraphel, 1 game played, 0 and 1, and Heleth 0 and 2. Grimkin 0 for 3. All right. Let's jump back to our little pod here. Oop. I went too far. We dug too deep. Again, our winners here, the top 3 were Stephen Rabideau on Kane Calder, Rich Owens in second, going 3 and 1 with Orgoth on a mix of Orsus and Kishtar. And then Chris Gunther with Necrofactorium on a pairing of Nicane and Sepsira. And he played Sepsira 3 times, Nicane once. And he only lost to Stephen Rabideau, which was a loss for Sepsira. In fourth, honorable mention, Gravediggers with Stephen King. And Stephen was on a pairing of Buck Hasker, Uncle Buck, and Sparky, good old Spark Hammer. He played Hasker every round. Went 3 and 1 with Hasker. Only lost was in the finals on final table to Stephen King, or to Stephen Rabideau, rather, on pressure points. Which was a scenario win for Rabideau. All righty. Onward to our last flight, the one of the Concords, 12-player. Sorry, Shadowflame Shard going 3 and 1, and then Brian Bedell going 3 and 1 with the Gravediggers. Last 3 and 1 was Scott Benzik on Old Umbry. Let's jump over to our play rates here for the event. We had 2 players on Old Umbry, 2 players on Dusk, 2 players on Crucible Guard, 1 Shadowflame Shard, 1 Grimkin, 1 Wintercore, 1 Gravediggers, 1 Sea Raiders, and 1 Cryx Necrofectorium. Pretty dispersed talent pool here. We had 2 players between 600 and 700, 2 between 500 and 600, 3 between 400 and 500, 1 between 300 and 400, 2 between 100 and 200, and 2 with an unranked variance there. Onward to win rates, Sea Raiders had 100% win rate at the event. Again, just having 1 player in this pod who was our overall winner in the pod, and then went on to win the entire event. Shadowflame Shard, 3 and 1 in the pod, 3 and 1 for Gravediggers as well. Again, representative of your top 3. Old Umbry, 2 players in the pod, 63% win rate, 5 up, 3 down. We're going to jump into their leader comp here.